Back open. This morning, the staff was busy at work moving dining tables and chairs out to make sure that the restaurant is compliant with the phase 1 of the reopening process. The staff also set up sanitation stations and say they're looking forward to serving customers once again. Also part of phase 1, shopping malls will be allowed to reopen starting on Monday. The manager of the Northgate Mall encouraged store owners to open their doors Monday and to follow the new safety guidelines. On the other side of town, management over at the Acadiana Mall say they're following protocols as well, but right now they're still waiting on approval from the state fire marshal.
Well, following the guidelines set for phase 1, Lafayette Parks and Rec approved restart of youth baseball and softball in the parish. Teams can continue with registration and drafting players, and the season will happen between June 1st and July 17th. The department says there won't be any postseason or all-star events this year, and full refunds can be given to those players who aren't wishing to play.
Never want to fight for, bleed, and die for the same terrain twice. And so we don't want to go back to having the kind of case counts and case growth that we had just several weeks ago. Obviously, we want to save lives. We want to move forward and not backwards.
On this first day of phase 1 in the state, Governor Edwards says everybody has a role to play in moving Louisiana forward. The governor also says if there are any more spikes in cases, bringing back restrictions will be necessary, but will only do more damage to the economy.
Well, the Department of Health reporting 348 new cases today. Here in Acadiana, Acadia Parish saw the largest increase since yesterday with 30 new cases. LDH actually removed 2 deaths from Iberia Parish, bringing down their total. Both Vermilion and St. Mary reported 1 death each today. St. Martin, St. Landry, and Evangeline parishes saw no changes in their figures. A sad update on a story we brought you last week. A new Iberia man who needed a plasma donor has died from COVID-19. We brought you the story of James Como, who tested positive for COVID-19 in April. His brother Troy took to social media to find a plasma donor, his post being shared over 1,500 times. Troy sent us a message today saying the family was able to be nearby and see his brother before he died this morning.
I assure the news media today that we will comply with the governor's orders whenever they sell popsicles in hell and set up an ice skating rink in the Lake of Fire and sell tickets for admission.
In Baton Rouge, Pastor Tony Spell announcing on a web stream that his church will not comply with the governor's capacity limits for church services. Spell is currently under house arrest for not complying with earlier restrictions. Also, a federal judge has denied Spell's request for a restraining order against the governor's stay-at-home order.
So we have to be very strategic in how we use those funds and make sure that we're placing it towards our highest priority of needs in ways that can make the largest impact.
Now to concern amid a proposal to use a HUD grant in Lafayette to help out small businesses instead of nonprofits for housing programs. Lafayette Mayor President Josh Guillory is defending that proposal, and tonight we're getting a better sense of the housing needs brought on by the pandemic.
At stake, nearly $853,000 from a community development block grant. And with record unemployment, there is widespread need and now a debate about where the money should go. Amon Boyd has the story.
Housing is impacted by the pandemic. Since the stay-at-home order was issued on March 23rd, 232 Help has fielded more than 1,000 calls of homeless assistance and shelter requests.
Based on unemployment rates and the increase that we've seen in the numbers of people that are filing for unemployment, and also based on the numbers just in Lafayette, the mayor president has been making some statements about 5,000 households who are currently scheduled for utility disconnections. So using those as an estimate to ascertain how many families are struggling right now, I think we need to be bracing for a huge increase.
With that in mind, Lee Rachel, the executive director of the Acadiana Regional Coalition of Homelessness and Housing, or ARCH, says the funds should go towards housing needs. But Mayor President Josh Guillory is defending the proposal, saying small businesses need help.
We have businesses that have been forced to close and have nowhere else to go. So this is a rare opportunity where we can take federal funding, get it through the Office of Community Development, and go directly to these small business employers, which has a domino effect.
According to ARCH, a hold on evictions foreclosure, and utilities disconnections are staving off disaster for now, but warns more trouble could be coming close to home.
I don't believe that it benefits the community enough if we put that towards small businesses. I think that we need to utilize our HUD CDBG funds to assist low to moderate income households with paying their rent and paying their utilities. That needs to be the priority.
Iman Boyd, KTC TV3.
The Lafayette City and Parish Councils will consider the proposal at a special meeting Tuesday. If the councils approve, it then goes back to HUD for final approval. Meanwhile, we reached out to Congressman Clay Higgins, who helped us secure this grant. He says it can be used in a variety of response efforts, and the city does have discretion over how to use that funding. New tonight, 45 staff members in the 16th JDC are being laid off because of projected low revenues. That 38% reduction includes employees in all three parishes in the district: Iberia, St. Mary, and St. Martin. The DA says the pandemic has resulted in very limited court functions and traffic enforcement.
Here's Daniel's 24-hour forecast.
We've got a fairly tropical evening here across Acadiana. Feels that way anyway. Warm and muggy outside. A little bit of a break in the cloud cover, and never really saw those showers manifest today. Now, we had them just to our west. We had them just to our east as well. Never really saw them get going here in Acadiana. A little bit of a break from the wet weather. There is some more on the way. 74 in Lafayette. It's 73 out over towards Opelousas right now. You've got the mid-70s down through New Iberia. Abbeville, Jennings is going to sit there as well. About 73 degrees down over towards Lake Charles and Baton Rouge. We'll cool down maybe another degree or two, but not a whole lot. Those lows are going to be staying in the 70s. We are really, really muggy headed into tomorrow. And basically from the morning through the afternoon and getting on into the evening, you need to be prepared for some showers. As a whole, we'll go with a 70% chance of rainfall, but you got about a 50-50 shot basically throughout the course of the day. Model runs coming in a little split on the timing, which makes it a little tricky to nail down, but we're going to go through some of those models. We're going to talk more about what you can expect as we work our way through the weekend. Again, a rainy couple of days coming up. We're going to talk about that in my full weather forecast. That's here in just a bit.
Acadiana Workforce Solutions, LEDA, and other partners have relaunched a web portal that helps you connect with resources for finding employment or job training. Head over to acadianaopportunity.com to access their resources and to connect with a representative. One Acadiana will feature this program in an upcoming webinar May 19th, along with a discussion panel of education leaders from our area. Well, some good news tonight coming from the 3 o'clock project. They say they're seeing a decrease in the number of people getting meals at Lafayette feeding sites. They believe it's because of their ability to expand into some other communities here in Acadiana. As always, you can get a full list of food distribution sites at katc.com/food.
The Department of Education says the state has received approval to help feed students in kindergarten through 12th grade, pre-K, I should say, through 12th grade through the new pandemic EBT program. Families who typically receive free or reduced price meals at school can get the financial assistance to replace those meals. Parents can apply starting May 18th, and the deadline is coming up on June 7th. The state will mail a PEBT card loaded with $285 per child, and it can be used anywhere that accepts SNAP cards. Our mission here at KATC is to help you recover from this pandemic. You can go to katc.com/rebound to see who's hiring, how you can make ends meet, and how to cope emotionally during these uncertain times. Well, students over at UL celebrated graduation today despite things looking much different than they typically do. Virtual commencement ceremonies were held by each individual college at UL. The ceremonies had many of the same elements as a traditional ceremony, with messages from administrators, deans, and student leaders. Graduates were asked to provide photos, videos, and quotes, and got to see their personalized pages to help celebrate the big day. And if you missed it, don't worry, KATC will air the virtual commencement ceremony of UL's spring graduation tomorrow. That virtual ceremony will include the names of every spring 2020 graduate and will be commercial free. You can watch it right here on KATC starting tomorrow at 4:30.
And still to come, heated debate in Washington as the House of Representatives passes a multi-trillion-dollar stimulus package. More coming up at 10:22, but first, Daniel's full forecast for your weekend. You're watching Acadiana's News Channel at 10 o'clock.
Complete forecast. Here's KATC meteorologist Daniel Phillips.
Welcome to the weekend, everyone, and an interesting weekend at that when it comes to the weather forecast. You've got some showers on the way both Saturday and Sunday. Some thunderstorms going to be in the mix as well. We're going to break it all down here as we get through my full weather forecast. Let's start with a look at the satellite and radar picture. Looking out over towards the west, an impressive line of thunderstorms pushing their way through Texas right now. You got watch boxes that are going to stretch from Dallas through about Austin, getting towards the San Antonio, all the way down towards Corpus Christi. Houston with a flash flood watch in effect for right now, and I think that central Texas out to East Texas likely standing the best chances to run into some of the more inclement weather, flooding, severe weather as well. Now, we're kind of on the fringes of all that, and like we tend to do when we are on the fringes, we watch everything very, very closely, and we'll have to pay close attention to the forecast, especially moving ahead into tomorrow. We may see a spillover from some of that severe weather as it rolls down to Texas and on into Louisiana. Kind of an outside chance right now. It's that marginal risk. So a 1 on a scale of 1 to 5, we're at the lowest for that. And I think it's a little bit worse down over again towards Houston, but you get a little spillover working its way into the area, and you can see a couple strong thunderstorms. And that is going to include Jefferson, Davis Parish, Allen Parish as well, and kind of getting up over towards Rapides, but again, mostly out over towards the west. Here's what the models look like, though, as we get into tomorrow. We'll go through the rest of the night. I think we should stay fairly quiet here going through the night, and then we'll get into tomorrow morning. Isolated scattered showers starting to pop up across the area, especially as we get a little further on into the day. Now, Futurecast slowing down here pretty dramatically from what it was looking like earlier on, the 5 and 6, but it still brings some of those showers and thunderstorms across the area. And I think that we end up with maybe a couple strong thunderstorms, maybe a couple little intense rounds of weather. Some showers working their way into the region, not just Saturday, but I think we get another round of that into Sunday as well. Let's stop this right around 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. You got those strong winds coming in from the south, bringing all that moisture in place. You get some wraparound moisture to work its way in. You could end up with a little bit of rainfall out there. I think that if we end up seeing some of those stronger thunderstorms, you could end up with an inch and a half worth of rain. If everything kind of fizzles out, though, out over towards Texas, then you're looking at numbers that are a little bit more like this, 1/2 inch to 1 inch, maybe in some areas. You do see a couple of those hot spots. Again, that's just the other side of the border. So if that stuff starts to translate its way over towards the east a little bit, we'll have to watch a little bit closer. I think just keep an eye on the radar here as we go through the next couple of days, because we are expecting some of that wetter weather. And it's tropical feeling outside. You can feel that it wants to rain just based on how humid it is. You've got a really thick atmosphere. You'll have that through the night tonight. You're going to see that getting into tomorrow as well. 70 for your overnight low. Highs tomorrow get up to around 82, mostly cloudy skies. Showers and storms going to be popping up through the day. Again, just keep your eye on the radar. Keep your plans flexible. Winds from the south at about 5 to 10 miles an hour as well. Here's what we've got coming up over the next 5 days after the showers today or tomorrow and Sunday rather. Starts to ease up a little bit on Monday, and then through the midweek, you've got a little more sunshine. Temperatures going to calm down, cool down just a little bit. Very, very briefly, though, we're kind of back into the thick of things as we get into Friday.
New information about the lawsuit filed over the deadly plane crash in Lafayette in December. Carly McCord was killed in that crash. Now her husband is filing a lawsuit against the plane's owners and the estate of Ian Biggs, the pilot who was killed in the crash. The suit claims the owners and operators were negligent and posed an unreasonable risk to its passengers.
Right now, AT&T landline customers in Port Barre are unable to contact 911, according to the Port Barre Police Department. The department says that AT&T does not know when that service will be back. Police ask anyone with an emergency to use a cell phone or to try to contact them directly.
Well, a Kaplan police officer was fired today after reports he made a racist post on Facebook. Steve Oquan was terminated according to the post on the department's Facebook page. Police Chief Joshua Hardy confirmed to us that the post insinuated it was, quote, unfortunate the coronavirus did not kill off all black people.
If you think this is going to end up as law, you're sadly mistaken.
On Capitol Hill, a heated debate as the House passed a new $3 trillion stimulus package called the HEROES Act. It would include another batch of $1,200 payments to many Americans and $1 trillion in relief for state, local, and tribal governments. Unlike previous relief packages, this bill passed on a mostly party line vote. Republicans say it doesn't stand a chance in the Senate. And still to come right here on KATC, talk about a surprise parade with over 100 cars. We'll tell you what the surprise is all about coming up next. Well, most parades have something like 20 floats, but not this one. At least 100 cars lined up near Charles Burke Elementary in Doosan for a surprise parade to celebrate a couple's 26th wedding anniversary. The surprise was put on by Iris Sanchez and her grandchildren to celebrate her daughter.
You know, just because we have this pandemic going on, we're all dealing with it. It doesn't mean that we can't still celebrate the great things in life. And 26 years is a long time, so it's something that's definitely worth celebrating.
In Iberia Parish, the class of 2020 at Delcombe High School received their cap and gowns today in a drive-by parade. The parade route went right in front of the high school. Now, tonight would have been graduation night for the seniors, but it's been moved to next weekend, but is still awaiting approval. Stay with us. Sports is coming up right after this quick break.
Time for sports with KATC Sports Director Andrew Clay.
The NFL is allowing players back at team practice facilities beginning next week, but only for medical treatment. In a memo sent to all 32 teams, the league is reopening the facilities, but with heavy provisions. Now, in a bit of a news dump day, NFL.com broke a story that says the league is looking at amending the Rooney Rule by giving draft picks to teams who hire minority coaches. We have both those stories up right now at KATC.com. In Saints news, New Orleans signed Ty Montgomery today. He was the Packers' wide receiver, forced into a running back role in 2016. That year, he ended up leading the team in rushing with more than 450 yards, averaging 5.9 yards per carry. That season, he tallied more than 1,000 total yards as the Packers made it to the NFC Championship. While the production hasn't been the same ever since, Montgomery has carved a role for himself as a player who can be slotted into two places on the depth chart. He spent 2019 with the New York Jets. The coronavirus's impact on college athletics will be felt for years to come. Today, Bowling Green cut its baseball program in a growing number of programs being cut across the country. Now, the MAC has been particularly aggressive at cost-cutting measures. It's already canceled future conference championships for sports, including men's and women's basketball. Louisiana Athletic Director Dr. Brian Maggard assured me today that those measures are not being taken at UL or in the SUNBELT Conference. Dr. Maggard said there will be some changes, including scheduling tweaks and minimizing cross-country travel. Volleyball, for instance, will slash the number of conference matches and round out their schedule with regional non-conference teams. Dr. Maggard said things like eliminating teams have never been discussed.
We're in a day and time where decisions have to be made that are suitable for the decision makers. And so, I mean, it's certainly disappointing. I'm disappointed for those sport programs and those student athletes and coaches involved. But, these are unprecedented times, and I know tough decisions are just having to be made.